Hello, everyone, and welcome to WriterSpeak, dedicated to the written word and those who produce it. I am your host, Jeane Slone. I am the author of 3 historical fictions. She flew bombers, she built ships, and she was an American spy during World War II. I also distribute local authors' books. Today in the studio, I would like to introduce David Savage and his book, Wanna Bet? How the Devil Became the President. Welcome, Mr. Savage.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
David Savage received his MA from New York University, worked as a contract employee for the U.S. State Department in New Delhi, India. After 3 years, he was declared person non grata and told to leave. He opened an art gallery in New York City, worked as a private detective, moved to California, hosted a TV channel, then got into the wine business and started drinking a lot.
That's right.
So, Mr. Savage, are you still enjoying your wine?
Absolutely. I usually start with a tequila before dinner, and then I'll have a white wine and a good red wine. Being in the wine business here, my wife and I also imported wines from Burgundy, so we like good wines and we drink a lot of wine. And now that I have a medical condition, I'm also smoking pot.
Which really helps.
No question. I don't smoke pot, the THC. I smoke the pot, which is CBD, and it helps me to sleep, and that's all I care about.
Well, I bet all that helps in your upcoming campaign.
Yes, absolutely, because, well, actually it won't. I'm going to have to stop because I want to stay up all the time.
Oh.
You know, if I sleep, then I won't be able to be Twittering, I won't be able to Facebook, I won't be able to do all the things.
And be running against a very strong opponent.
Yes,
really.
I will be running, and and probably some places don't like it that I would smoke. Many places, of course, there's already been controversies by the fact that I have admitted, I don't know if you mentioned this, that I am the devil.
Yes.
And I am the devil because I decided to run because it was time, and I believe I am the first politician who has ever admitted to being the devil. Mm-hmm. We know we've had a lot of politicians who were devils.
They usually don't, they pretend that they're not the devil.
I have nothing to lose. I could do whatever I want, and I mean, I could be here or not be here. I could have sent a surrogate, but I like you so much, I decided I'll come and sit here with you.
Well, why don't you read from your book that is helping your election? I know that by putting this book out, it will really encourage people to be voting for the devil.
Yes, they should vote for me. The book, as Jeannie said, is Wanna Bet, and there's a little preface. It says, this is a quote from Albert Einstein. Some of you may remember Albert Einstein. God would not play dice with the devil. And the devil says, wanna bet? And so the book opens as follows. Allow me to introduce myself. I am David Savage. I am the devil, and I am running for president of the United States. I am the much ballyhooed celebrity real estate developer who has changed many neighborhoods to make way for my luxury towers. Some would say I am a destroyer, but few would say that to my face. People are always jealous of success, and to be sure, I am very successful, always have been, always will be. I live in New York City in a penthouse in a pre-war building on Upper Fifth Avenue. People ask me why I don't live in one of my high-rise luxury buildings, Savage Towers, Savage East Towers, Savage International Hotel and Towers, or Savage World Towers. To tell you the truth, they are all too modern for me, as you will see. I'm nostalgic for things of the past. A little about myself. I'm tall, as you can see. I'm athletic, as you can see. A chiseled, clean-shaven face. I'm wearing this for disguise, of course, today. A sharp nose and penetrating, if I may say so, dazzling metallic green eyes. I've appeared on the cover of many magazines, and Time magazine even referred to me as candy for the eyes. I like that term. I think it suits me. My hair is pitch black, slicked long in the back, and just nibbling at my shirt collar. As old as I am, I still walk like a young man, body erect, eyes focused, determined to capture the future. My adversary in this episode of Wanna Bet is Abe Kandinsky. Abe is a dear friend of mine, perhaps my only friend. Abe owns Kandinsky's Upper West Side Delicatessen, kosher since 5720, on 88th near Broadway. Abe lives alone in a floor-through apartment above the deli. The deli and the apartments are in a 5-story tenement walk-up building he owns. Abe's craggy face, balding on top white hair, and short white beard give him the look of a man of 65, although, like me, he is much, much older. His brow has wrinkled lines stretching from ear to ear as if he spends all his time worrying. Between you and me, Abe worries too much. He's always worries too much. You see, he always expects everything to turn out right. Perfect. But as with all of life, it never does. Abe also spouts numerous spider lines running from the edges of both eyes to his cheek, and Bassett-line, melancholy, deep-set brown eyes that are open as opposed to mine and inviting. Mine are inviting, but in a very different way. Abe's a big man, wild shoulders, broad chest, muscular arms with a broken nose. He could easily be mistaken for an ex-heavyweight boxer. He walks with a labored gait. For some reason unknown to me, he has invited arthritis to creep into his joints, and his posture sucks. He's always walking with his neck and head bent down, as if he's looking out for dog poop, or a more universal explanation, carrying the weight on the shoulders, or the weight of the world on his shoulders. So that's us. But I should go back to the beginning, actually before the beginning. In the beginning, darkness covered all. Out of the darkness came the earth, and the earth was divided between the waters and the dry land. The dry land brought forth herb-yielding seeds, fruit, trees, and grass. Out of the seas rose the great whales and living creatures that moved in the waters, and on the dry land came the creeping things and all kinds of beasts. And all the living things lived peacefully in the waters and peacefully on the dry land. God saw what he had done and declared, "This is good." "What good?" I cried. I wasn't known as the devil yet. I was standing beside God and had witnessed the creation. "They need to do what they are," I announced. No sooner had I said that the animals on the dry land began devouring one another. In the waters, the big fish began to eat the little fish. "What are you doing?" God demanded, scratching his head in disbelief. "I'm helping them discover their true being, their inner animal." "Can't you leave well enough alone?" God's frustration echoed through the universe. He always made a lot of noise. Rumblings, lightning, big waves, floods, hurricanes. He eventually became known as the creator, but he was equally good at destroying. Although I must say, he rarely was assigned the blame. That always went to me. "Geez," God said, "you are a pain." "Why are you kvetching?" I asked him. Look, God spoke to me as to an annoying child. That's what he always thought of me. He wasn't Abe Kandinsky then. That would take a long time to develop. "I've been busy for 6 straight nights." His voice was like thunder rolling over the hills. "I'm tired. I want to rest." I laughed at his whining. "You sound like an old Jew." "I am an old Jew." God tugged at his long white beard. "I'm tired because you keep causing trouble with my creation." While we were talking, a new creature appeared on the dry land. "What's that?" I asked. "That, my dear brother," God was himself again, smiling, content, secure in his own omnipotence. "Now I can rest. You won't be able to mess with him." Oh yeah, I thought to myself, my eyes glittering behind half-closed lids. I created him in my image, God proudly announced. He's perfect. Perfect, huh? Wanna bet, I challenged? And so began the history of the world. God and I are always on earth as human beings, always a part of the action, manipulating events. And we bet. For example, would Moses cross the Red Sea? Would Caesar survive the Ides of March? Would Joan free France? Would Elizabeth defeat the Spanish Armada? Would the Americans beat the British? Would Lindbergh cross the Atlantic? Would the Red Sox win the World Series 2 years in a row? That's what we do, God and I. We bet. You have to understand that the earth is simply a test, a game for us to play in. God, because he created man in his image, always bets that man will do the right thing. I, on the other hand, knowing the real nature of man, always bet man will look for the easy solutions and be ready to sell out. Now you're up to date. In the summer of 2016, we showed up in New York City, Manhattan to be exact. We decided what we wanted to be, and it was as if we had always been there.
Well, given the title, Mr. Savage, do you ever bet with money?
No. We don't have to bet with money. We bet. We don't even keep score. We don't have to keep score because we know everything. We just bet. We have nothing else to do. He knows everything. I know a little more. He doesn't know that. I know a little more. He will never admit that. So we just bet for the betting.
I see.
Yeah. So,
and then I had a concern. Well, first of all, I did want to tell you I'm so surprised how prolific and the descriptions of writing and the vocabulary that you use are pretty fantastic. I'm amazed by that.
That's very nice.
I didn't think the devil could write so well.
Well, I thank you very much. In fact, it was the devil who created words, because prior to words, women were in control. And the minute there was literature, men took over. And so I've always been able to write words for men.
I see.
But
That's
I
how
hope
that
women
happened.
will read this, because it tells them what assholes men are.
In some opinions, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you think about it. There's one other thing I would like to mention. I have had some people, I don't have any friends, but I have some people that I met that have read the book it's a very fast read. It's 187 pages, and there's a lot of spaces, and it's pretty easy, and people have read it very fast, and several people have actually called me up and told me if they take it to the bathroom, they never have constipation.
Oh, handy.
So that is one of my
Instead of a
selling
drug.
points. That's better than a drug, and it's one of my selling points.
I
Anyway.
am concerned about the cover of your book.
Oh, why?
Well, the White House is burning.
Well, it did in 1812. Everybody forgets that.
That's true. I did know that.
Well, I went through a series of covers, and
I need to ask you this
yes,
question.
please do.
Do you plan on burning down the White House?
Oh, absolutely. I want to live in it. Are you kidding? All that.
So you're not going to burn it down?
No.
Well, you're projecting that, it says how the devil became
But
president, and it looks like you're going to burn the White House down.
It does look like that. But if you look, the White House is not burning. There's fire around it, because it's time we had someone with fire in the White House, and we need someone with fire in the White House, and so we are going to do that. And I don't want to burn it down. And if you read the whole book, you'll find out what happens to the devil. Maybe I should say this. I don't know. It doesn't give too much away. In the course of the book, the devil gets to like more and more of the Americans. And by the end of the book, he wants to help America. And God becomes more and more like David, and he leaves the delicatessen, he becomes a venture capitalist, and he winds up living on East End Avenue. So they switch roles. So God becomes a really nasty venture capitalist.
It's so hard to believe.
Well, what's there to believe? It's all a story. Life's a story.
What makes you think you can win the presidency?
God runs the delicatessen.
Yeah.
God runs the delicatessen. He's up against the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate.
Oh, okay,
The Republican candidate is an amalgam of all the Republican candidates, men who speak words that have no meaning. The Democratic candidate is a woman who's the governor of New York, and her name is Harriet Dickey. So that tells you everything about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they plan to kill him. There are assassination attempts. The devil holds a rally. One of the presidential debates takes place in Tombstone, Arizona. So you can imagine what happens at the OK Corral. And there are various things like that.
Well, can you tell the writers that watch this program, do you ever have writer's block? And if you do, what you do about it?
No, I mean, and I'm not lying because there's no need for the devil to lie. I don't. I enjoy writing. I have done many things in my life. But writing has been, I would say, if this is the correct expression, the warp and whiff, the two parts of the rug, I always forget their names, that you weave the rug together. That has been the basis of my life. It has been the basis of my foundation. And I've been waiting a long time to write this because on the back, or somewhere, on the back, there's a quote from Anatole France. And he says, "We've never heard the devil's story because God wrote all the books." So I thought it was time for me to write
a book from the devil.
A book from the devil, right, yeah.
What authors that you've read have inspired you reading this book?
I didn't need any inspiration. Well, guys, I mean,
You were born with inspiration.
This came out of my brain. Mm-hmm. I was cold stone sober. I would tell you this, the website picture I got from I saw someone's website and I got that. What's interesting is I've had these wonderful people help me with the book. There's a woman who lives in San Diego and Mulegé, Baja California, and she was sort of my entrepreneur for the book. And then there was a woman who now lives in New Zealand, who is my website person, and a man in Scotland who did the cover. And was very good. And if anybody wants to know who these people are, you could write me at David Savage, P.O. Box 666, Kenwood, California, 95452. That is P.O. Box 666, Kenwood, California, 95452.
What was your favorite part of writing this book, the process of it?
Many, many years ago, I was living in New York when I was a cab driver for various reasons. I was living in a walk-up apartment in a very fancy neighborhood, and I had cockroaches. And I was writing another book. I have about 7 or 8 books sitting around that have never been published. And while I was writing, there was a cockroach that walked across the stove in my kitchen. And I was going to kill it. And I said, "You just wrote this wonderful line. How could I kill the cockroach?" So every time I write something that's wonderful to me or somebody else, but even if I laugh at it, that is my great thrill. That for whatever reason, there is this energy that is allowed to flow through me that allows me to create to what degree I create. I feel very lucky about that.
So,
now, some people say that's a God-given gift, but he wouldn't give me a damn thing.
No.
No. We've had too many fights, you know.
Yeah, I can see why.
He would hold it back from me.
I can see why.
I know, yeah. Anyway, what else, my dear?
I want to know, are all your books so comical? This is hysterical, even though I know it's based on fact.
Yes, that's what makes it funny.
It's a nonfiction, but for some reason it's very comical.
Yeah, it's very sadly so.
Yes.
Sadly so comical. It's a sardonic parody, if I could use that phrase.
Sardonic
Parody.
would be appropriate.
And parody would be more appropriate. I have my next book that I'm going to write, because I just turned my hand to comedy. The next book I'm going to write is I'm doing the research right now. Vacation spots in the Bermuda Triangle. No one wants to go there, and you don't know what's there. It's so phenomenal. It is so. And then the book that will follow, which I'm not so keen on, but I'm always looking ahead, is how to get out of Eden before God kicks you out. So that's that one. But all the other books I've written were serious. I've written a couple screenplays. I've written a couple television plays. I've written a couple novels. I've even written a novel about the Holocaust, and that was pretty serious. And I had absolutely no hand in that. It was that Hitler guy. So much for an upright man, you know. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing right now in terms of writing.
And where can we buy this very serious, comical, nonfiction book?
Well, first of all, you have to distribute the book in Sonoma, Jeanne, right? So they can get in touch with you, I presume.
Yeah.
And
At the local authors' shops are listed actually in the Sonoma County Gazette.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that's one. The other place, it's on Amazon, Wanna Bet. There are other books called Wanna Bet that have dice, that have women, that have, you don't know if it's a woman or a man. It was Wanna Bet. Actually, that should be my next book. You know, it should be some sexual experiences, and the guy or the woman comes in and said, he was good, she was good, and the other person says, Wanna Bet? You know. But I have to think about that.
Well, it's good.
There's also Kindle.
It's good you put a subtitle.
Yeah, well, the new edition says, because then people thought I was writing about Obama, you know, when I spoke to Christians, because they all think Obama's the devil. So the new title now is How the Devil Became President in 2016. So it makes it a little clearer. I tend to be obscure and obtuse. I also tend to enjoy my drink and have a good meal and so on and so on. But my serious books, I've done a very serious book on the Holocaust. I did a very serious book about how the religions will be destroyed and the new religion that will come out of it. I did a serious screenplay about a person who goes seeking. I did a couple TV. I write, you know, but nothing really went out there. Mm-hmm. But I can write. I can afford to live the way for my own means. I don't eat very much. I drink a lot, but I don't eat very much. I don't eat much. And my clothes, I get some of them at that Salvation Army, and I just polish my shoes. You know, it's pretty easy.
Well, Mr. Savage, your book is pretty amazing, comical.
Thank you.
It makes me think a lot about the upcoming election.
Excellent, excellent.
It's very informative.
Yes.
And I would like to thank you for being on WriterSpeak.
It's my pleasure.
And presenting your book, Wanna Bet.
Thank you. Can I add one thing?
Yes.
I would like everyone to know that I am an official candidate for the presidency of the United States in the name of David Savage.
Yes.
I'm on the Federal Election Commission, and I can accept up to $50,000 in contributions. And if you have something you'd like to contribute, or the use of your jet, then please get in touch with me. My email is there. The best email to use would be either on my website, which is www.wannabetthebook.com or www.howthedevilbecamepresident.com, and or the Gmail is dsavage4, the number 4, prez @gmail.com.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Jeannie. It was a pleasure being here. Be careful.
Oh, yes,
Shake
no.
very carefully.
Yes.
Because, for all these flames and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe we should
I'd rather
why
not-
don't we just send energy each way?
Yeah, I'd rather
No, I
not
don't-
touch you, really.
No.
Yeah.
Woo!
WriterSpeak is produced at the C Media Labs in Santa Rosa. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Sonoma County Gazette. Please join us next time for an interview with a talented author.